Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on today's discussion for reporting on your documents with Sage Paperless Construction. I'm Corey with Alliance Solutions Group. I'm one of our product specialists here, based out of Portland, Oregon. Work with the rest of my team here at Alliance Solutions Group, who is spread throughout the country. As I was getting ready for today's discussion on reporting on your documents, I realized that there's another thing that we can cover, and that's just other advanced features within Sage Paperless Construction. I'm assuming most of the folks on the line here today have already seen some of the basics with Sage Paperless, so I don't want to dwell too much on that. Really what I want to take a look at is digging into some reporting specifics and just other advanced features for you to get the most out of your investment in Sage Paperless. So we've got a lot to cover, but today's agenda, a real brief two-slide overview on Alliance Solutions Group, who we are, what we do, dig into the software, and then definitely save some time at the end for questions and answers. If you do have questions, feel free to type those into the webinar chat box, and I'd be happy to answer those either as we're going through today's discussion, but then again, definitely save some time at the end. So who are we at Alliance Solutions Group? What makes us different is that we are focused on construction and real estate. We live and breathe construction-specific software. Everyone from myself, like our product specialist, our salespeople, our consulting team, we have a great depth of experience, and we are local in the places that we serve. Our offices are in Florida, Texas, and California, and have consultants spread throughout all those regions. So we have a deep product expertise as well as a regional expertise in terms of how the local business operates. Our approach, we like to learn what's going on in your organization before we jump right into the software. It's in the details of existing workflows, and that's where you can have success or failure of an implementation. Once we understand your situation, we'll present you with a solution, dig into the software, actually show how we're going to cross that bridge. And then finally deliver. Working with our consulting teams, make you successful from day one with whatever investment you do choose with Alliance Solutions Group. So today's discussion is on Sage Paperless. And Sage Paperless fits into Sage's overall construction and real estate portfolio as another application that ties into the core accounting packages of Sage 100 Contractor and Sage 300 Construction and Real Estate. For a general audience, I would say that generally you can think of Sage Paperless as just being another module within Sage 300 or 100 Contractor. But for this group, it is kind of important to recognize that Paperless is ultimately a standalone application that is linked into the accounting system. And this gets into be important because you can use Paperless for more than just AP routing or more than just looking at purchase orders. You can really start to link it into other aspects of your business that don't necessarily link into the accounting system. You can use it to manage HR documentation, vacation requests, and with some of the other tools that Sage Paperless is offering, I think really you're going to see more of a standalone document management system that integrates along with your accounting system. I can get into some more of that, could discuss that kind of all day. If you want to get some more information, I'd be happy to schedule a one-on-one demo with anyone as well. So when you're thinking about that paperless implementation, here's a graphic that I found in just really in the help menus within Sage Paperless. And it's a way that you can think about how are you rolling out document management at your organization. So what you can think about Sage Paperless as is a digital vault for all of your documents. And the icon here is that paper filing cabinet. So really what we want to have is one secure location for all of your documents with full security given to groups with access in your organization. And those security groups are made up of your individual users. Now, each of these users are going to have a different kind of role of interacting with the system. If you have a user who is the owner of the organization, she might need to have more of a high-level overview, more of a dashboard view, whereas someone who's doing data entry, they might need to really have good workflows designed for them. The ability to split and review invoices as they come in from a scanner is a lot more important to the user entering that information than maybe the owner who's just looking for an overall view. Well, Sage Paperless, the needs of all these users get met just through the working with the software. We have multiple different document types with multiple index values. So ultimately, Sage Paperless is a document management system that functions at the user level, but then built into that is some really, really robust reporting that we can dig into today. So where's that file? That's really the big question. And as initially we're talking about Sage Paperless, I think one of the biggest benefits is no more lost invoices. So I asked that question, where is that file? Today it might live in a filing cabinet somewhere. You know, these have been mainstays in offices for the better part of 100 years. Now what we've also moved into is digital file storage, local access and also network access for your company's documents. And what do we have now is Sage Paperless. So I think about it in kind of two ways here. Within Sage Paperless, you have access to all of your documents. Within a filing cabinet, you need to have that document live in one place. So a lot of folks look at, when they're moving to paperless, they're trying to get rid of some of these filing cabinets that they have in their offices. So they get these hard copies of invoices and they go into these drawers. Well, that's all great, except for the fact that, sometimes you want to pull all of the invoices associated with a particular job. Well, so you could make a job folder here in this filing cabinet to put those invoices in. But now compare that. What if you want to see all the invoices associated with a particular vendor? Well, now you need to have two different files in this folder, or are you going to spend half your afternoon putting all that stuff together? With Sage Paperless, that's really the question that you're able to answer. Because we use index values, you can really search on a whole variety of criteria. And we'll dig into this some more here as we actually take a look at the software. So that was an amazing PowerPoint effect that I didn't even realize I had, but I just thought it was too cool, so I left it in. This is the overall look at the Sage Paperless system here. You have your AP flow, you have your overall premium with document routing that all links in your 100 contractor, Sage 300 down here. We have our web services, our eCapture, ePortal, eForms. It's a fully robust system, so the ability to capture that receiving ticket with a smartphone and have that link back into your overall on-premise software. Super powerful, and the reporting really gets built in. That AP flow, we're not going to step through that today because I'm guessing most people on the call today have already seen that. But you're capturing your invoices, entering invoices, routing for approval, and exporting to Sage. With Sage Paperless, you're able to report the whole way through this process. So you can see invoices as they're being entered, as they're being routed for approval, and you have full visibility on that. So those pending invoices prior to them getting exported to Sage. After they're exported to Sage, you have those nice clean digital copies that link all throughout the accounting system. So if you're looking at the job record, if you're looking at the AP vendor, if you're down at the individual invoice record, you can get to all those documents. They live in one secure location in your Sage Paperless vault. Kinds of reporting here before I jump into the software. This is a really powerful tool. This is linking at my Sage 300 job cost information. So I can actually report on my unposted invoices in the same place as my job cost information that's already been posted. So you can really get good, accurate information, before some of these invoices are going through their final approval. So in the unposted status, you can still report on them, but your project managers can recognize, hey, these things are still in the approval process, might be not down to the exact penny. After it's been posted, that's locked and loaded, ready to go. Now with that, let's take a look at the software. So I've already got Sage Paperless opened up here. I'm logged in as an administrator, and I have my working dashboard here. That's really the first place that you're going to start getting reporting with Sage Paperless is on these dashboards. And you have some ability to customize these right on the fly. So if you want to view them by the number of invoices or the dollar amount, you can do that. You can just list your top 5 vendors, or you can go all the way up to 100, or even list out all of the vendors. The same kind of thing for invoices for approval by job. The ability to go number versus dollar and then look at your top ranked. If you hit this little gear icon, though, you're going to be able to really customize that reporting. So if you want to add additional dashboards on your home screen, you can absolutely do that. So if you're looking to see your number of pending batches in the system, number of active user logins, this might be important for someone at the administrator level. They want to take a look at that and see what kind of utilization rates are you getting. Down here, this is one that I think could be really beneficial for a lot of folks who are on the processing side of things. So they can see the invoice by status listed by the processor. So if I just say OK on that, Here's my new graph that's going to show up. So I can see pending, approved, or incomplete. I can see my number of invoices versus my dollar amount. Real quick at a glance views into the data of Sage Paperless. Going down here, you can see also your hot documents. I wouldn't call this reporting necessarily, but it's kind of an advanced feature in the sense that you can flag documents throughout the system as your individual hot documents. So you can kind of think of this as your desktop view, whereas ultimately this document, this subcontract, is going to live in the filing system, but I can just make a note of it here as a hot document for me that I can review as soon as I get into my Sage Paperless system. Other kinds of reporting, I know this for large organizations with large AP departments can be really beneficial. The ability to report on the documents in each of your queues is really important for workflow monitoring. So you don't want to have some people processing 75 invoices a day while other folks are only doing 25. You want to kind of split that load evenly amongst the whole team to make sure that things are getting handled fastly and efficiently. All right, so if I look into my reporting, that's really where the bulk of today's discussion is going to be based around. And the one that I often get started with, I think it really starts to highlight what the capability is of Sage Paperless and the reporting engine. It's all based on Crystal reports, so it can be customized by your in-house Crystal experts, or Alliance also has consultants who can help you with the Crystal reporting end of things. Most of the reports have the ability to be, minimally customized on the fly. So as you're running that report, you can say, which vault am I going to be working on? Which reviewer do I want to look at specifically? How many days between columns? This makes more sense as you dig into the report. And then invoices, what are they dated by? So this kind of initial information can get set up as you're setting up your reports. And then, I don't need to be a programmer to customize these on the fly. I can do this to really get at the information I'm looking for. So if I want to preview this report, opens up, and here on the left-hand side, I can see listed out all the reviewers that I have in the system. At the top, I can see what's current. This is where I set my days between, so this is just 10 days, 11 to 20 days, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, and then anything over 40 days, we can get there too. And with our Crystal Report technology, you can drill into any of these. So if I want to see an individual invoice, have access to that. Here I'm seeing Cook's Lumber has been in their hands for an amount of $20,000. I want to dig into that a little bit more and see the related documents. So if I want to pull up that AP invoice, I can go all down to that level, see the invoice itself. And then through some of the other things that we've talked about in the AP flow section, if you've linked a receiving ticket, if you've linked a purchase order, if you've linked any other related documents, those can also show up on this screen. So all from this one report, you're really able to get a feel for where are all your pending payables in that process. So another report that I don't always show on an initial look is her Sage 300 CRE job cost summary report. So we do have the ability to report on both databases. And this can get a little technical, a little nerdy, but technically, Sage Paperless is a separate database from Sage 300. And what we're saying here is that we have the ability to report on both databases, all from Sage Paperless. I'll show you what that looks like here. So if I just run a preview out of the box on this report, what it's going to show me is all of my job cost information for the jobs that I've selected. It's going to show me what's been posted as well as what's unposted. So this unposted is telling me all of the documents that I've got in Sage Paperless at these different code levels. So this is set up by vendor on this level, but you could also have it set up by cost code if you wanted to go into that level. So I'm seeing unposted invoices for Barth Electric, Becker Roofer Company, Northwest Concrete, and then Power Equipment Rental. So think about your project managers being able to have access to this kind of information. So you can dig into Power Equipment Rental here and see what is the status of all of these different invoices that we have. Is it incomplete? Is it in the pending status? Has it been exported to Sage but not actually posted yet? You get access to all of that information here And then at any point, if you want to access that information, you come over here to the little magnifying glass icon, and it launches the Sage Paperless document viewer so that you can see the invoice and any markups and annotations and related documents you have in there as well. So that's that powerful Crystal reporting engine that's working between both databases, Sage Paperless and Sage 300. Now, functionality that's not quite available today, but is coming out soon, is the ability to link Sage Paperless to My Assistant and those reporting capabilities. So not something that's available today again, but if it is interesting to you, contact your Alliance account manager and we can get you some more information on that as well. Okay, so as we look through, the AP process, we have some additional kinds of information that we have access to here. So not just simply on the AP flow, but other kinds of document setup. So document type detail report. One of the important things that we look at with Sage Paperless is the permission and access granted. So what we can see here is the document type detail. So within Sage Paperless, you can have different kinds of document types that you have set up. And different document types can give different access levels depending on the username. There's actually a different document type that you can set up for secure confidential invoices. So if you only want to give access to a certain few people within your organization to that confidential invoice type, then you can set that. There's just certain things in the business that people don't need to have their eyes on, and with Sage Paperless, you can control what everyone sees. So here's just an example of a 401k form, and it's also one centralized location that you can come to look at all your different document types and see who is having access to those. As you can imagine, a 401k is an important aspect for your HR teams, so you want to make sure that only your Sage 300 administrators and your Sage HR group actually have access to those. You don't want to have additional people who are able to get in to see some of that sensitive type information. You can also look at an individual user level and see what they have access to. So within your system at any given point, you're going to have multiple users that are accessing the system, and they're all going to be doing different things. So if you're a Sage Paperless administrator, you're going to have access to more security groups. If you're the HR manager, your look's going to look a little bit different here. And as you're bringing people on, as you have company turnover, this stuff becomes really important. You want to know who has access to what documentation. And everything gets tracked to a per user level in our audit log. So you also have a good security and see which documents are being accessed by which users. Things up here like this, things that can be controlled in Sage Paperless is the ability to allow annotations to be burned in. Now, what does that mean from a user level? Well, if I went into my AP flow here, what we have the ability to do is mark up these invoices, and we can actually make modifications then to that actual image. So, oftentimes I'll draw an arrow to our invoice balance. Maybe we want to underline a certain aspect of the invoice line item there. And then what you have the ability to do in our annotation ribbon, if you've been given that option, is the ability to burn in this information. And that can become important for something like a custom stamp. So you can have each individual user upload a stamp into the system, and that can actually become burned into this document here with this icon. But that's, again, only if you give that user access. So really, you can set up some pretty complex workflows here in terms of user signatures, sign-off, review, approval. And what's going to be coming here, again, I don't want to talk too much about the future, but we have the ability to integrate with DocuSign. So if you want to send your documents from Sage Paperless to external parties, you're going to be able to do that with DocuSign. And actually, Sage Paperless is going to be having their own process. So outside of DocuSign, if you're looking to route these documents to external vendors, So if you want to have a signed subcontract sent out to your subcontractor, you can definitely do that directly from Sage Paperless. It's going to track who's been accessing that document, all the signatures, and any markups that you've made on it on your side. Okay, so I don't want to save those changes. Go back into our reports tab, and then the next thing we're going to look at is our custom search criteria. Just make sure we don't need to see anything. Oh, our routing rule setup report. This can be really nice as you're going through that initial setup for Sage Paperless and understanding the different routing rules you have set up. So, you want to make sure all of your jobs are set up to send out to the project manager. That can be an automated rule that you set up. Look to Sage 300, look to the project manager on the job, and then route to the associated paperless user. Other routing rules that can often be set up, though, are things like sending invoices over a certain dollar value to the CFO, or sending invoices associated with a particular vendor to an operations manager, because maybe you're having issues on a dispute for a certain job and just want to a little closer look at their payables as they're coming in. This routing rule setup report is a nice way to get an overall look at your Sage Paperless routing rules. So again, looking at our search utility here, if I want to look at all my documents in the system, all my active documents anyway, I can just check this box here, and that's going to give me a search. And that's just essentially a big stack of all the documents that I have in the system. Now, what we were saying is that in that example I was giving of where do I find my file? Is it associated with the vendor, or is it associated with the job? So for instance, this AP invoice right here, it's associated with power equipment rental, but it's also associated with a particular job. What I have the ability to do here in Sage Paperless is anytime on the fly, or we can save these searches too. If I want to go to power equipment rental, I can enter their vendor number. We hit search, and that's going to pull up all those AP invoices. If I wanted to go down to a job number, I can do a lookup back into Sage 300 and enter these. And again, those same invoices are coming up for power equipment rental, but also job photos, purchase order, change orders, because now I'm looking at things that are associated with the job as a whole. So in this screen, you can set up your predefined lists as well. So in this case, I just want to pull up all my AP invoices. I can save that as a search term over here on this side in this tab. What I also have the ability to do, though, is set up these browsing nodes. And these can be set up by one person and then shared with additional folks. So in this example, here I'm looking at my job number 0301, but then furthermore filtering down to just AP vendor 1401. So if I wanted to see my power equipment rental, what I would do is just add a new browsing child here. Its category is coming from accounts. No, I want to put it in accounts payable. And so you can customize these and add additional nodes. If I was going to my AP template, I don't want to save my changes to that. So job 0302, AP vendor 1401. So what you have the ability to do is report on any of these documents in any flexible way that you're looking for. So combinations of searches, and ultimately what you have the ability to do here is take any of these documents. If you want to save these out as a file, you can do that. If you want to email these documents, if you want to print these, if you want to route these documents with the internal document routing system, you also have the ability to do that. So at the end of the day, what you want to be able to do is access any document in the system however you need to find it and be able to pull that information out. One of the things I love about just the reporting system here is the consistency of the file names. And that's always another nitpicky point, but super important is good file naming. for all of your documents in the system. And I think one of the difficult things you have on a job or across a company is how do you maintain consistent file names? With Sage Paperless, really, it's all based on that initial information that gets inputted into the system. So you can set up these rules. So it's saying, what is the document type? Well, it's an AP invoice going to vendor 301. Here's my invoice number, and there's my invoice date. You can see the same kind of thing for subcontracts. Your subcontract is the document type. What's the subcontract ID? What's the vendor number? What's the vendor name? These are the kinds of things that really can make you give you a nice professional feel for when you do have to give documentation and backup. Because you can imagine if these file names are all different naming convention, different number system, you really just start to question how good is the record keeping of the organization. With Sage Paperless, all that stuff goes out the window. It gets taken for you automatically just by your regular use of the system. So I want to take a second here to see if we've got some questions. Are we able to modify the reports that come with the software? Yes, absolutely. Since Sage Paperless is a Crystal reporting engine, you do have the ability, if you have in-house expertise with Crystal reports, to make these modifications. Otherwise, you can work with one of our Alliance consultants to help you out with that. So I do want to give some more information here on pricing and information for follow-up if you'd like to get some more info. Pricing for the overall Sage Paperless system, it's an on-premise purchase, similar to the rest of your Sage licenses. So it's a purchase plus annual maintenance based on the number of concurrent users that you're going to have in the software. We didn't really talk about them today, but on our subscription products, ePortal, eCapture, also eForms, it's more of a named user annual subscription. My name's Corey McDermott with Alliance Solutions Group. My email is listed there, and if you'd like to give me a call to ask any additional questions, my number is 310-935-3772. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Look forward to next time. Take care.